Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Finding Data Friends, where we have found a data friend to join us today. Chrissy, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out of your day to be with us. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about you?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I know I'm in the car. I'm taking a little break from work to do this podcast for everyone. My name is Chrissy Lemaire, and I have used SQL Server since the 90s. And I've loved it since the 90s. And yeah, I have created DBA tools, which is a mixture of my two favorite things, which is SQL Server and PowerShell. Put them together, helps you automate. And other than that, I'm happy to be here. Unless you want me to tell you like how I was born in Louisiana and all that.
Well,
I
you
mean,
just
now
did.
you
It's
told us.
perfect.
I mean,
That's where I was born. That's where my accent comes from.
I always appreciate your accent. There are certain words that you say that whenever you say them, like community, whenever you say that, I'm just like, yeah.
Community. Is it the E and the N? Community?
Yeah, it is. Love it. Anyway, okay, well, you've been working with SQL Server for forever, and obviously
Yes.
you told us that you love SQL Server and PowerShell, so it might be a spoiler alert, but what is your favorite data thing?
Well, actually, my favorite data thing does have to do with that, but it's not exactly that. It's
Okay.
SMO, which are SQL
Hmm.
management objects, right? Um, I feel very lucky as a SQL Server professional that we have these DLLs that have these libraries that encapsulate all of the SQL queries that we don't have to do over and over. Like before I started using SMO, I had to program with like select whatever from sys.databases, and then it changed later on. And the awesome thing about SMO is that Microsoft just does that all for you, and it works all the way back to SQL Server 2000. So I don't have to know T-SQL. It all does it behind the scenes for me. So that is my favorite SQL data thing is SMO, which I build on top of using PowerShell.
I love that. I love that for two reasons. I agree that is a fantastic data thing, but also you pick something very specific, which a lot of our guests have trouble doing, and just say they love all data. So
I mean,
you
true
data
did
is
story.
excellent
it
there.
is it is lovable. That's
It
actually
is.
why I got into SQL Server. I'm actually terrible at indexing. So I took this test that you take for, I don't know, some sort of evaluation, and they're like, you're horrible when like flipping through the phone book to find an entry. And I
Mm.
was like, no, I agree. It takes me way too long. But with SQL Server, it just does it all for me. So I do love data and I love SMO and objects because, all of the other platforms like Oracle and all of that, to my knowledge, they don't have their corporate backers or the vendors actually creating that. It's oftentimes the
Hmm.
community instead.
Appreciate that.
And it's not the vendors. And so I do feel lucky that we have the vendor who is creating this and keeping track of it. Great
Yeah, I
job.
think it's worth mentioning too that the other tools that are built on top of Smo, right? Like Management Studio that we all use and love is built on top of Smo, so it makes sense for them to keep it up to date and to release new things
Definitely.
and stuff because they're using it too.
Right.
So yeah,
I
super
was
cool.
hoping someone would refer to it as SMO. So
Smo.
SMO, there we go.
I'm very like
Also,
SMO. It's true.
Yeah.
no, I'm good with SMO. Also, I like how you explained why you love it. Like, I love SQL Server, and specifically, I love SMO or SMO because it means I don't have to know T-SQL.
It's
That's the
true.
best.
No, it is. It is. Thank God. It's true. I'm not good at it because I think very functionally. I don't think in sets, right? I think
Hmm.
for each. I'm a big R bar fan, row by agonizing row. That's the only way that I can process things. And so that's why it makes sense that my skill within SQL is using PowerShell because it is row by agonizing row and I don't have to, invent just it would be like a circle and a square, me trying to do set based thinking. It's just not my style.
Yeah.
Hey, Chrissy, how
Well,
do you feel about nested cursors? I
I don't
mean, that
know.
must be
I
right
mean,
up
it
your alley,
sounds.
huh?
Oh, I used to write UDFs, which are like big performance hits, right? Ani DeFranco. I don't know if y'all know her. She's a folk singer, And a long time ago, we were hired to work on her website, and I totally used UDFs, and I still think about that to this day. If like the developers that took over it logged in and they were like, "Ooh, I don't know if this person knows it," I think that it's poor performance. I'm pretty sure. And so to answer your question, that also sounds like cursors. Yeah, poor performance, and not that exciting and not that powerful, in my opinion. Like cursors were only bad performance for the most part and not that powerful, but like PowerShell makes up for it.
Yeah, I feel like cursors are like, well, PowerShell is like cursors on steroids, right? Because
Yeah.
cursors, you're kind of stuck inside one instance. You can kind of go database by database, but with PowerShell, you can connect to many instances at once, right? And just kind of
Exactly.
blows it apart.
Yeah, that is the
Yeah.
power of it, is the stuff that you're not supposed to do in T-SQL is the thing that makes PowerShell so powerful. Bravo.
Yeah, totally.
Fair and true. However, both cursors and UDFs often get shit for no reason, because yes, for a lot of use cases, don't do it if you really have to go through, like, because in most cases that UDF will stop your query from running in parallel. Sucks from a performance perspective. But if it's something like a website, how much parallel querying can happen on a website? I mean,
Also true. That was my position at the time, is I'm like, how many e-commerce orders are there going to be? Maybe 36,000 throughout the entire, however long this app is going to last. So totally fine. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. That relieves me of the guilt that I felt. And, and those
I
Maybe
use
those
them
people
to this
came in.
day.
right?
Yeah, maybe those people came in and were like, this is a great way of doing it.
Oh my God, this is so convenient. Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Feel better.
That's what
Easier is often the best.
Boom. It's true.
If it works, right?
Yeah.
Exact. Like the other day I was working on a piece of code and it was like super super neat and took like a minute or so to execute. Not great, but it needs to be run like once a month. So I'm like, does it really matter? I could now go and optimize the heck out of that, and it would probably run in less than a second, doing the exact same thing, taking out all the row-based stuff and etc. etc. Nobody would gain anything from it, and
Right.
by the time somebody needs to look at it and change something, it's easier to fix 3 rows of code rather than
100%.
1,000.
And I think that's insight that you only get after a whole bunch of years of experience, whenever you actually have the experience and the confidence to be like, you know what, it's fine, we'll come back. Because it does take confidence to say that you're not, ashamed of your 3 lines of code.
I can't remember
Honest.
if it was on this podcast or something else I was listening to, but someone said like,
Are you running another podcast beside this, Jess?
No. It was at PASS. I was watching Jess's talk, and she said, perfect is the enemy of done. So like you can finish it, right? You can do the job, it works, or you can keep trying to make it perfect, and then you never finish it.
I'm extremely guilty of that. I love
me too.
beauty and perfection and doneness is it's a goal at the end.
I love beauty and perfection where it matters.
Yeah.
I mean, even with like modern stuff like Fabric, where you can still use views as you could in SQL Server, and I know many people have very strong opinions about views. I do love them for many use cases.
Yeah.
One of the things that it does not give you is something called Direct Lake. So you can query the lake. Power BI has a different way of accessing that data, which gives you a performance hit where I'm like, okay, for billions of rows, or maybe even just millions, that is probably good advice.
Yeah.
If I'm querying like 10 rows of data, how bad can the impact be?
It's true.
Everything has a place.
So,
it does.
So, Chrissy.
Yeah.
When you're not sitting in your car talking to the two of us.
Yeah.
And when you're not using PowerShell because it parallelizes better than cursors.
Yeah.
What is your favorite non-data thing to do?
I was going through the list because there's so many things that people love doing kind of generically, like, travel. I love to travel, etc. But something that I really love, I love UK trash TV. I do.
Mm,
Oh, I
okay.
love reality shows. And then whenever we went to the UK in January 2020 or February 2020, we went to London. We stayed at the Treehouse Hotel, which I can highly recommend. And it was actually hard to leave the room because we turned on the TV and we could understand what was on the TV, which was one big bonus. But then after that, oh my God, like their public broadcasting system just has all of these shows that I love watching, and it's just like candy. It's non-serious, and I love it. So I would really rank that very high. I go through phases. Like right now, I'm doing Love After Lockup. That's a newly discovered and exciting. I can see in both of y'all's faces that you're like, I wasn't expecting this answer. I also love
I was
trashy
not.
biography.
But see, that is the entire thing about this podcast. I mean, from time to
Exactly.
time, we invite people that we may have met before, and still every single time we learn something new about them.
Jess knew this about
Well,
me
the
though,
thing,
because we have a shared
I
love.
did know that.
uh,
I did know that you liked this particular genre of TV,
I
but
do.
I didn't know about Love After Lockup.
Oh,
I mean,
ooh,
genre is
you
a big word
should.
also.
Oh, it is very good.
Might
You
be
The
need to
writing
interesting
that
take.
part
down
for
right
me
now.
is no,
Say that.
I was in London in February of 2020. How did we not meet? Well,
No
what happened there?
kidding. Oh wow.
Mm.
It was a fantastic week. I was celebrating Lou's birthday, which was in September, and it just never got around to it. I know. And then we had this really wonderful outing, and then we didn't for many years. So it was a nice introduction. While I was there, I was actually worried. I had heard some like rumblings, and I was like, "Ooh, we better not breathe at the museum." We actually left the museum early, and so I was right.
That's why I remembered that trip specifically because for most of I've been to London once or twice, or maybe it's slightly more than that, because
Good.
it's one of the cities I always love coming back to. And I
Yes.
remembered that we came to the gate, and there was a family that had been to mainland China in the past 14 days, so they
Ooh.
were not getting on that plane. So I was like,
Ah.
okay,
Interesting.
this is where the whole shit started.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It was right around then. It's true. So yeah, that's my
Good
answer. I love
times,
trash.
good
I love
times. Let's
trash
not do that again.
TV. I love traveling, and I love trashy books too. I only read nonfiction, and so it's like PowerShell in depth, and then Lori Morgan's biography. She's a country singer from America.
And the
Perfect.
counterpart to that is UK trash TV. That's
Uh,
an interesting mix, but
yeah,
I'll take
it's
it.
I like other people's drama. Just other
Hmm.
and like just non-harmful kind of non-harmful drama is it's a
Yeah.
nice little escape. There is a subreddit called Pop Culture Chat that I highly recommend. It's just it's fun. It's just
In the
fun.
show notes.
Yeah. Oh my God, Lou's gonna be so entertained by that because we found it and I was like, I love this sub, and she's like, oh my God, I do too, and we'll like swap links and everything, and so yeah, totally recommended.
Love that. I think one of the things you recommended from that trip to London, you recommended the hotel to me, but you also recommended a burger and lobster restaurant for lobster rolls
Yes,
in London, right?
it was damn good.
Which is the perfect segue because our final question is what your favorite food is.
I am there. That was really good, and I love gourmet pizza. And I'm very excited
Ooh.
to report to any Americans who are listening. I've had pizza in California, and I've had pizza in Seattle, and I've had pizza in Italy and Florence, not Naples yet, but one day. And I will say that a damn good pizza is universally delicious no matter what country you're in. And right
Mm-hmm.
now, there's this place that I love eating. And one of the most recent pizzas I had was a sweet gorgonzola burrata cream fiora de latte gorgonzola. I already said that. Pears and walnuts. And that is like, I love gourmet, kind of weird pizzas with an awesome crust. As a matter of fact, one time I was in San Francisco and I was eating at this place that has since closed, but I loved their crust, and I said, "Can I just have a crust pizza?" And that's it. Just like, and they said, "Well, if we don't put anything on it, it doesn't come out the same." And I said, I'm gonna try my luck, and it was very delicious. So I even love topless pizzas. I love pizzas, and today, it was Spaghetti DBA. He said that he ate some pizza in Seattle that rivaled what he eats in Italy. So for all the pizza purists,
Interesting.
yeah, for all the pizza purists, you can have the best pizza everywhere, except Germany. Their bread is very, very dense.
I told you about that pizza last week, Jess. 2 weeks ago,
In Seattle?
on last week's podcast. When we were talking to Shannon, because
Yeah.
I was telling you about that pizza, and it was very similar to what you just described, Chrissy, because it also had the burrata and everything on it.
Yeah.
It did not have gorgonzola because I don't like any kind of blue cheese, not even on pizza.
Oh,
But
wow.
I would take the pizza that you just described, take off the gorgonzola. Well, rather
Yeah.
than taking it off, I would order it without, because taking off the gorgonzola, messy. And in exchange,
You're very.
and if you've never tried that, trust me on it, take some hot honey, like
Oh,
infused with
yes.
chilies.
That's
With
a
burrata,
new
that would be
thing.
really good.
Yeah. So in Brussels, I don't
So
know.
good.
I don't know about if y'all are experiencing this too, but the new thing is hot sauce, right? So whenever they serve the pizza, we get this kind of sweet hot sauce that's made in-house. And I'm going to a whole bunch of places, and all of the places are bringing out their own specialized hot sauce, which I totally endorse. But check this out.
We just had a baked brie this weekend, and it had hot honey in it.
Nice.
Ooh. I can't
Yeah,
do
it was
brie, I will
delicious.
say. I wish I could.
No?
No, it tastes
Oh,
too
it
much
was like a
like
baked
cheese.
brie.
Yeah, like I want to. I've tried it every year pretty much, wanting to love it. Because whenever people love it, they really, really enjoy it. And I can't.
Yeah.
But
It's
I'm
fair
jealous
enough.
that you can. I did
fair
get sushi the first like 3, 4, 5 times that I had it. I hated it, and I came around to it, and then I
You had to
also
keep
got to
trying.
be
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And then I was one of those people that people were passing by the window, and I'm like loving my sushi. So yeah, I do recommend trying something repeatedly, even brie. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. We'll try it together.
Yeah, let's do it. Totally.
Perfect.
Can I come?
Sure,
Yeah,
of course.
absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll do it in
Perfect.
This is a
Seattle.
vegetarian-friendly thing we can do.
I was going to
let's
say
do it.
this is
Yeah.
perfect for me.
Perfect. Some pears.
All
and some
right.
Black pepper.
Yeah.
It's the black pepper movie.
See,
Now I'm
the
hungry.
great thing is, it is 4 days till Christmas, and our traditional Christmas food is we're doing raclette.
Oh,
Take the
yeah.
cheese and do it in the little.
Yeah.
And we don't just
Melt it
use
all over everything.
we don't just use the traditional cheese. We also use tons of that as well, but also some goat cheese. So that goat cheese will have some hot honey this year, and pepper and
Yeah.
chilies and.
Yum.
Anyways, where I'm going with that is 15 minutes are over. So, Chrissy, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the
having
extra
fun.
effort of doing it from your car.
I
Agreed.
Thank you, everyone, for
happy to be here.
sticking with us this entire year.
Mm.
For those of you celebrating next year, Merry Christmas.
Merry.
And we will be back with yet another friend in January. That's as specific as we will be.
Mm-hmm.
All right, come on. I'm going on a limb. We're going to be back in January of 2025. Here, I said it.
No pressure.
Nope. There's that. So, again, thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Chris. No. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Jess. That's where I was going with it. Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays. Bye.
Bye, folks.
Bye.